2, 3.
Hi everyone, it's Queen Urbane and welcome back to the channel. So today's video is going to be how to enter into the paralegal field. I've been seeing the comments you guys are leaving on my other paralegal videos, which have been getting so many views. Thank you guys so much for just your love, your encouragement, and your kind words in those videos. So I figured I'd make more paralegal content as I am entering into more horizons. I figured I'd teach my subscribers what I am learning. So today's video is important because there are a variety of ways to enter into the paralegal field, no matter your experience level. So I figured if I can break down to you guys how to enter the paralegal field, you guys can navigate your own way in your own career path, and at least you'll have some guidance and reference as to what the paralegal field entails. Now, with that being said, because of the fact that you can enter the paralegal field with all scales of experience, means that your expectations for each job, each location, and each type of certification should vary. So with that being said, I'm going to break down this video in terms of types of firms and expectations of each, types of paralegal based on their field, and types of training offered for paralegals. I hope this video teaches you something. Comment below which part helped you the most, as well as your aspirations for the field, as well as any questions. I'll try to answer to the best of my ability. Thank you guys so much for watching. Connect with me on social media. Subscribe to the channel if you like this type of content, and be sure to thumbs up. Let's jump into the video. So first we're going to be breaking down the types of firm. Now there are what I like to call 3 types of firm. There are big firms, which are those Fortune 500 firms that you hear about. They usually recruit from prestige schools or have a prestige pedigree requirement in order to be a part of them. If not that, you'll need extensive experience as well as specialty to be able to get into these type of firms most of the time. So if you've ever seen the show Suits, like literally think of Suits, and these big firms usually give a really big salary. So if you are able to land a job at a big firm, you can be making up to 6 figures or more, depending on the type of firm. I mean, their clientele, the revenue the firm makes, can operate and pay that to their paralegals. That's because they require a lot of basically specialty and experience, attention to detail, and efficiency. So if you can produce those results and get hired at those type of jobs, then you are guaranteed to make a lot of money. Now the hours may be long. Get exposed to a network of people that you know you can definitely grow from and expand from due to their level of excellence in their life. Then there are medium firms. Now, a medium firm is not really a firm I've ever really heard termed, but I like to call these medium firms because they're kind of like the big firms, but I call them medium firms because they operate like big firms, but they probably don't make as much in revenue, so they're not going to apply as much salary, but you will be able to be paid and, you know, have benefits and things of that sort. It operates like any other law firm. They may have some chains, they may not, you know, in terms of branches in other states and things of that sort, but the employee number is just much smaller. These places usually require people that you know, don't need as much experience in their fields, of course, depending on what you're applying for. And then after that, there are small firms, or like law offices. These are basically just a smaller firm in terms of it's a smaller amount of people working there compared to a bigger firm, a little more tight-knit. Because of the tight-knitness, it might be a little more of a family culture. Those smaller firms are usually the ones that you find all over, like places like Indeed, where they're just hiring like 1 or 2 people, not really a mass hiring of things of that sort, or looking for crazy requirements, you know, just being efficient. Those are the places where you can have little to no experience or just 1 to 2 years experiences. I mean, some of those places would like more experience too, but it's a smaller firm or a law office that you are more benefit from looking for if you have little to no experience, because they're more likely to train you and more likely to work with you and have a more hands-on one-on-one approach, whereas the bigger the firm, the less likely they have the time or ability to do that. Now, they may have the resources outside of like an extended time of training, but outside of that, it's kind of like the patience with you runs really dry if you have little to no experience. You can typically find minimum wage to hire depending on your expertise as well as your specialty and your licensing. If you have any of those things within law offices to negotiate your pay or give you more pay leverage. I hope breaking those down really help you understand the types of firms you can look for and apply to, as well as the expectations you'll have with which you'll be working with, the culture kind of you'll be dealing with, and as well as the pay range. Now we will jump into the next segment of this video, which will be types of paralegals based on their work. So there are typically about 4 types of paralegals you can be in the United States, at least that I'm aware of. There is the private or general paralegal, whereas you work for a big firm, a medium firm, privately owned, or some type of LLC, something of that sort. You just work within the law, but you don't work for the government, and you don't work for the other practices that I will list later on in this video. A general paralegal, and then within your paralegal ship, then within being a paralegal, you have specialties. So specialties can be like litigation, corporate, immigration. Those are where it's like specialties, but either way, the general title of paralegal is your job title on resumes. Following that, there is the public sector / government paralegal. So these are paralegals that work for the government. So you typically can find those jobs working for the Secretary of State, working for county clerks, or working for district offices, things of that sort. That's where you can find those type of paralegal jobs. They're typically always hiring. Now, the pay is not going to be super high because it is a public government job, but you will be, helping the government and working within that field. And sometimes certification will be required for these jobs, or some type of academia, because of the fact that you will be going to court or dealing with court documents or dealing with the court system in general. So certification would really help in a lot of those jobs. So just keep that in mind, but you can work within the government sector or the public sector as a paralegal. The next type of paralegal is an independent paralegal. So that's kind of like freelancing. Like, you can literally freestyle be a paralegal on your own. If you have your own notary license, your own paralegal certification, you can work temp or for hire for certain law firms. Like, let's say a big law firm is having a huge case going on and they need extra help, and you're a for hire paralegal who has a background that shows that you can do the work, you're attentive to detail, then you can be hired for that. So there are paralegals for hire. There's people who work in other fields, but they also have certification or academia in paralegal work, so they do that independently as a side hustle. But there are such things as independent paralegals, so that is something you can get into as well. Lastly, there are pro bono paralegals. So those are paralegals that basically volunteer their time to work toward the underrepresented, and pro bono paralegals can use this time to build up experience and to make sure this is the field they want to enter, as well as contribute more to society. So that is something you can also consider. Now, this is typically not paid or paid very, very little. So if you're considering being a pro bono paralegal, which is an amazing thing to do, helping to represent people that are underpaid, undervalued within society, you will just be kind of gaining experience for the most part, which can be used in law school applications and things of that sort if you ever consider pursuing that down the road. Lastly, there is 4 types of training you can get to become a paralegal. 3 of them involves academia, and then 1 is just kind of going through the motion. Essentially, I'm going to explain the difference between each one so that you can pick the right path for you if you decide to be a paralegal. So the first is getting your associates in paralegal studies. So you can do a 2-year training program. A lot of community colleges offer a 2-year program on paralegal studies where you can learn the specific things that are needed for the paralegal field, such as drafting documents, correspondence, legal writing, legal research, things of that sort. So there's one example of how you can gain certification. Another way you can enter the paralegal field through schooling is through getting your bachelor's. Now, I know a lot of people spoke about this in my other video in terms of they got their bachelor's, but it was in criminal justice, it was in this, it was in that. So can I enter in the field? Here's what I say to that. You can, but here's the thing. If your bachelor's was in criminal justice, something other communication, something other than specific paralegal work, you may be aware of the law, you may be able to do legal research in terms of the specific things of the job, like legal writing and drafting up memos and correspondences and motions, things that are really valuable to a lot of attorneys. You may not have got that through your school's program because that's not required in your school's program. Now, I'm saying this because that's what happened to me, you guys. I studied communication, which I learned about the law because I took political science and criminal justice and all these classes, but once I actually joined my job field, I needed a whole lot of on-the-job training because I didn't know how to do that stuff. Thank God I found a job that was willing to train me and teach me that stuff. So if there's hope for me, there's hope for you. And if you want to learn how I got my job, watch my other videos. And if you're on that same boat where you're interested in becoming a paralegal because maybe you want to go to law school or you want to do something of that sort, something around there, but you don't know if you have the training, you might have to start at a lower level job and find a place that can train you unless you are willing to do our next one, which is another way to get training within the paralegal field, is to get a certificate. Let me break down the certificate program to you guys because I got a lot of questions with that. So there are only 2 ways that are nationally recognized as certificate programs within the United States. So you can become a certified paralegal. That means your name, last name, which you would get a CP at the end. Like, you know how attorneys have Esquire at the end of the name? You would now have a CP at the end of your name legally, which you can add to your resume or things of that sort, as well as other legal documents from the National Association of Legal Assistants, aka NALA, or become a PACE registered paralegal through the National Federation of Paralegal Associations, aka NFPA. So those are 2 ways to become a certified paralegal, and that would really help with any type of job application, no matter the prestige level of the firm. Just showing that certification, that can help your pay, that can help your salary. But I know a lot of people don't want to pay for that because that does require a test. And with this test, you are studied on all of the paralegal work. There is a program for these tests to be able to pass them. If you don't want to pay for those things, let's say that's just not in your budget, there are paralegals and lawyers offering certificate programs all over the place. Like, basically, let's say, for example, these lash techs. Do you see how the lash tech industry is trending? You know, with the lash industry, you know, once a lash tech is certified, they can certify somebody else. That's kind of what's been going on. So that's what paralegals have been doing. Once you train somebody in how to, you know, work a law office, you can train other people on that by creating a program, and those certificate programs are out there and available. You will get a certificate. You can use those certificates on your resume as well because you have been trained and you did pay for the class, you did pay for the certification, you did pay for the course. Lastly is on-the-job training. Now, to get on-the-job training without any other academia will be a little more difficult unless you are applying for, once again, those smaller firms or those law offices which may or may not hire you. You have better luck with those places. I would encourage that, but it is a little more difficult to get into that. So I would say do some type of volunteer work while you can. Take some courses, sign up for some things, get as much legal experience on your resume as you can. before you enter into the field, because it would only help you during your interview process. Show that you're a studious person, show that you can get things done, as well as your efficiency, and I'm sure that someone will give you a chance. I hope breaking down these 3 concepts really helped you guys in navigating the paralegal field. Let me know if this was any help to you, and let me know if you would like more videos on the paralegal field. I love making these videos for you guys. I love the comments that I receive. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I see you in the next one. Bye.
1, 2